Oftentimes, codependency shows up in us in the form of sacrificing our own needs, voice, opinions, time, or boundaries in order to meet someone else's needs or to get love and connection for ourselves. Essentially, it can be a form of self abandonment. It's neglecting your own heart and needs and sacrificing them on the altar of meeting someone else's need. As a result, a lot of women will become bitter and resentful toward their partners or other people because they feel like they've been used and that people only love them for what they can give them. When in reality, they were the ones that made the internal decision to give up their heart and voice and needs. And if it's something that's been a cycle or theme in your life, you've probably created a culture for the people around you. So now they expect you to show up like that. So if you feel like people are taking advantage of you, it's likely because they see you doing it yourself. When I look back on my past relationships with men, I was always sacrificing my needs for theirs and giving them what I wouldn't even give myself. I literally thought that if everyone did what I was doing, the world would be a better place. If this is you, listen up. You are not making the world a better place. You're actually contributing to the unhealthiness of your relationships. It took me 2 failed marriages to realize this. I didn't value myself enough to give myself what I needed, which not only left me feeling empty, it made me desperate for other people to reciprocate my acts of kindness back to me. But if love comes with expectations, then it's not love, it's control. In a weird way, I was trying to control my spouse and children through my kindness and generosity to them, thinking that it was my job to fill them up and their job to fill me up. But I never communicated that. I just expected everyone else to show up the same way I was. And when they didn't, I was left feeling like I got the short end of the stick. The problem was I chose that end from the very start of the relationship. So when you finally have a voice and communicate your needs, the people in your life may not respond favorably because they didn't think that was the deal. They thought that you didn't have any needs. They thought you were always the helpful and kind, servant hearted one that was meeting their needs and the needs of everyone around you. But what they don't realize is that you sacrificed yourself in order to do that. A lot of people look at a person like that and they say, oh, that's living like Jesus. In fact, subconsciously, most of us think of Jesus as a codependent man that gave everything that he had for all the people around him. But he didn't do it from deficit or for the sake of meeting the needs of the people around him. He did it from overflow. He did it because he was actually getting his needs met from the Father, so he powerfully gave. He didn't do it by neglecting and abandoning himself. He powerfully gave himself over. Sometimes as Christians or as people pleasers or just as women in general, we've learned that our needs don't matter. We feel this pressure where we feel like we have to say yes anytime someone is in need or in pain or in suffering. And we carry a savior complex thinking that we are the only person that can do this, so it's essentially our responsibility. But living that way is going to leave you bitter and exhausted. Here's something I want you to think about. Resentment and burnout don't result from giving our all. They stem from trying to give what we don't possess in the first place. Those feelings of bitterness and resentment are actually warning signs, revealing the emptiness from which we were trying to give. As Christians, we're meant to give generously of what we have, whether it's love, money, resources, or time. But it's not possible to give what we don't possess ourselves. We can't give from an empty cup. I'm not saying that you shouldn't meet people's needs when you want to and when you have the capacity to and when it's on your heart. But I invite you to become an observer of your intentions behind your acts of kindness. Is there an exchange that you are expecting in this transaction? If they don't appreciate you or tell other people about your kindness or return the favor, are you going to be resentful? If the answer is yes, then you're not coming from a place of fullness. You have an ulterior motive behind your actions. It's healthy to see other people as powerful and capable of meeting their needs without you. It also shows faith and trust that God can provide for them. People pleasing is making other people's satisfaction your responsibility. Ultimately, my satisfaction in my relationships is my responsibility. Other people's satisfaction is their responsibility. People pleasers have a tendency to blame themselves when other people aren't pleased. But we were created as human beings, not human doings. Our worth isn't in what we do or how many tasks we accomplish in a day. Our worth comes from our being present for others, of course, but even more so, being present for ourselves and our relationship with God. So many of us have this internal voice that tells us that we're not enough, not good enough, not smart enough, not successful enough, not pretty enough. So we think we have to work harder in an effort to feel worthy. And this tendency often comes from the messages that we received when we were younger. Maybe you were rewarded for performance in extracurriculars or sports or academics, and you grew up believing that that was a way to get acceptance and love and feel worthy of receiving it. So the next time you give someone a yes, keep in mind that in order to do that, you have to give someone or something else a no. And there's a good chance that no is to yourself. Saying no not only protects your mental and emotional health, but it also protects your relationships from resentment seeping in. So check your motives. Why are you saying yes? If it's not a powerful yes, then it's coming from a place of codependency.